As we know very well, plants and animals need resources from the environment to survive. For example, plants need nutrients from the soil to photosynthesize. However, just as important are the ways in which the natural resources are replaced so that even more organisms can grow. The ways in which they are replaced could vary. We know that plants are eaten by animals, and so when this is done, the resources used by the plant are transferred to the animal. The animal will then pass some of these resources back to the environment by feces and urine. However, the animal may use some of the resources to build new tissues and so on. These resources will only be recycled once the animal has died. When an animal dies, their remains are broken down by decomposers. Decomposers are a group of organisms which feed on dead organisms and waste materials, i.e. feces. The decay process starts with detritivores, such as worms, and then bacteria and fungi will finish the process by digesting all the remaining material. Typically, the elements which are recycled include carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and hydrogen. Once decomposers have digested all the material, these elements are put back into the cycle as carbon dioxide, which is then used in photosynthesis, and mineral ions, which the roots of plants take in. Another important resource is water. Water is a vital resource for life, and it has its own separate cycle that we need to look at. As we know, all too well, water falls as rain from clouds. The general term for rain, hail and snow is precipitation. Once the water has fallen from the clouds, it is either taken up by plants or animals as required. The water could also run straight into bodies of water, such as rivers, or go through the gaps in rocks straight to another body of water. After this, water is released as water vapour in transpiration and respiration. Water vapour is also formed when the sun heats the rivers or oceans enough that evaporation occurs. As water vapour rises, it cools and condenses into rain clouds. The cycle will then start once again. The cycle carbon follows is actually more complex than we have just talked about. Carbon is one of the most vital elements to our survival due to it making up a large proportion of our molecules in the body. There is only a limited amount of carbon available due to carbon being locked up in rocks and carbon sinks. This makes the recycling of carbon even more important. Photosynthesis removes carbon from the environment. Carbon dioxide is taken in by plants and they use it in reactions to form glucose and other plant tissues. These plants are then consumed by animals, and so the carbon is passed on to them and they will make their own new tissues using the carbon from the plants. Also, don't forget that when the plant dies, decomposers will break down the remains, and this process will produce carbon dioxide as the decomposers respire. Respiration also takes place in both animals and plants on a daily basis. This means carbon dioxide is returned when animals, plants and decomposers respire. Another way carbon is returned could be in fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are formed from dead organisms, and this of course means fossil fuels will have carbon locked in them. When these fuels are burned, carbon dioxide is released. This cycle is massively important, but it is feared that excessive burning of fossil fuels could affect this delicate setup.